Welcome back, guys, to the MVM Show. Another episode and another hunt review. Don't forget to check out Pattern Pack Ammo. We've been talking about it at the beginning of every episode. You guys will love it. You got to check out. You can build your own ammo stack, and you can build it however you want at the minimum of 5. And you can go in there, put the code MVM in, and you will get...
Harrison
sounds like he's fighting a band of...
Oh, did you hear that?
Are you eating dinner?
No,
Are you rummaging through the fridge right now?
No, I was
Doesn't
trying
that
to
sound like
unlock.
Travis?
In our
Something he would
opening?
do? Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was trying to unlock my front door.
No, so check it out. Pattern Pack Ammo. They're on Instagram, Facebook. You can check them out on their website, and it's pretty awesome, guys. You can go in there and build. You can take Federal, Super X, Boss, heavy metal, heavy bismuth, any kind of ammo that you want, you can think of. You can build a box specifically to the needs that you want to pattern with, instead of buying one shell or 10 boxes of different brands and getting one shell of there just to pattern your gun. So check it out. Also check out Eukanuba. That's what Rocky's eating. He's the Sport Dog Blend 30-20, 30% protein, 20% fat. And like Thomas said on the last episode, his coat looks stellar right now, and he's in really good shape. Very healthy. Probably the best I think he's been in shape for any season. So anyways, that being said, let's get right into the hunt review.
So we're reviewing day 2, Washington, right?
Yep.
So this day, again, we hunted another spot we've never hunted before. And so we got up early, and this year we kind of learned this year is a little bit different, I think, due to COVID.
Yeah.
I think there was a little more guys hunting this year because, you can do school from home, or guys have been laid off, whatever the case may be. Definitely had some more people hunting this year, which is, good. We want people out hunting and all that. But so we had to make some adjustments. We went out there. I think we got there like 3 o'clock.
That was where we ended up hunting was our backup plan.
Yeah. So we wanted to hunt this different spot, and that didn't work out. So we ended up hunting our second pick.
Which we were confident we would do good, but we just never had hunted it.
Yes. I mean, we were close enough to the area where we've been successful before. We were pretty confident that we would get on some birds. So we took 3 dozen out again, right, on that day. Pretty sure.
Yes. Yeah, we
Yeah,
took all 3
we all
bags.
carried a bag, yeah.
3 dozen decoys out. Wind was out of the north, I believe, on this day.
Yep.
Yeah, so wind was at our back, which was great.
What wind there was.
Yeah, that's true. It was actually pretty calm in the morning and in the evening. There's a short window of time.
Yeah, we would have little spaces. It'd be a little windy, then it'd go dead. Then
Yeah.
it'd go slack. Then it'd come back up.
I mean, maybe how fast? What do you think? Up to 10 at the most?
I think up to 10. I think at the windiest point it was probably 10.
Yeah, for short bursts.
Yeah, in that corner we're in.
And I mean, honestly, when we had it, that was a pretty good time.
That's
when we
when
had
we
the
did
wind.
good, yeah.
Yeah. So
That's as soon as we'd kill them. It would start blowing, and we'd get on them, and then it would slack off, and it would be a dry spell for a while.
yeah. Which, I mean, that's kind of typical. I mean, every duck hunter could agree with us, right? At that point, we didn't have really any form of motion besides a whip splash.
Do you remember us having that conversation? Who was going to go back and get the motion ducks? I wonder how much different it would have been if we would have did that.
Oh, the jerk string.
I'm curious of that too.
Did you think about that, Harrison? Did you think kind of like?
Yeah.
Did you think about that later?
I'm thinking. I think part of it was. I think up there was a little different down here. Like when it got windy, because all those birds are rafted up, just sitting out there in the middle of the river. I think like the wind definitely helped push them around in general, like move birds around. But on the standpoint of what you're talking about on decoying birds, I think it would have helped. If we would have just ran maybe 1 dozen with the motion ducks right in the middle of them or something like that, it might have helped. But when the wind started blowing, you could just the pure amount of birds just went way up. I think the wind was moving a lot of them around.
Yeah, the flight in general. Yeah, for sure.
Right.
And then the bigger spread helped us probably. So
Right.
it's kind of a catch-22.
With all those moving around. Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So,
I mean,
who knows?
Either way, I mean, I feel we did pretty good for what it was.
It was real overcast. That's what was really hard.
That was
Those birds were just picking us apart.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
We had tough conditions.
Yeah. It was real tough. It was slack calm for the most part.
Overcast with no wind.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the toughest. Mm-hmm. Really. I mean, even if it would have been sunny, it probably would have helped a little bit.
It would have helped a ton, I think, with our hide.
Uh-huh.
But
I'm trying to remember, did the sun come out at all? It seemed like at one point it came out for a little bit and it got good again.
Yeah, I think
just for a little window.
For a little bit.
Yeah, just a small window.
Mm-hmm.
It was actually, it was, because I remember seeing it in the in editing and stuff. But dude, we were talking on the last episode that about the calling.
Oh, dude,
how huge that was.
It was so different up there. We were blowing our hearts out.
Yeah.
And you can look on the video too. Like when I watched it today, you can see when the birds hook up, and you can hear us like start quieting down a little bit.
Yeah.
And, we're just getting the single quacks and a little chatter, and you can see them pull off, and then we just hammer them again, and they turn on and hook right back up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you had to call hard
all the way in.
There was a couple where we were literally blasting their ears out right when they're over the decoys.
The one that I jumped in front of you and shot those two hens. We had called, that was me and you up there, and we called hard until I shot.
Uh-huh.
And that was boggling my mind. I'm like, if you would blow that hard for someone in California, they'd flare. I feel like.
Yeah, we're not used to that.
I could be wrong.
For sure. And what was super weird to me is, I think on all those ducks we killed that day, all those ducks we worked, we probably only heard like maybe 3 of them. Like when you see all those thousands of birds out there rafted up.
Not talking.
Dude, not a peep. And usually, like in California, you got a pair of mallards hooked up and they're real interested. That hen will get chatty, in the corner. She'll start quacking at you. I think that only happened like maybe twice, in that one drake we heard it coming. But other than that, they're just dead silent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which kind of is kind of weird, because you would think the quieter they are, the quieter you would have to be.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's what you usually do, right? I've always done that. Like, okay, they're not talking. Let's just be quiet.
Right.
Use motion.
But it was super weird. I guess
you're
it's just
you're kind of the one that figured that out too. You're like, dude, we need to call hard all the way in. I'm like, in my mind, I was like, dude, I don't know about that. And then we started doing it, and it worked.
Yeah, I mean, the way we hunt mallards in California, you hit them real hard, and then you get them looking, and then when they're really hooked up, you're hitting them hard in the corners, but then super soft talking them, when they're looking at you. And when they're coming over the top or really looking at you, you don't say anything, because you don't want to give away where you're at. You're just giving them more and more information every pass. But those birds it was just weird. You had to call as hard as you could until their feet hit the deck. And
I've never called like that much in my life ever on a duck hunt.
Like consistently,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of birds. I mean, we hunted almost all day, and for, I'd say, a big majority that we were calling at birds, And towards the end of the day, I mean, it slowed down quite a bit, but I mean, hours.
Yeah.
Hours.
Literally. And what made it, what I was going to say is with the overcast too, you already mentioned them seeing us easier, but I don't remember what I was going to say about that. I've been doing that a lot.
I think one of the biggest things about being overcast, it was so hard to pick those birds out.
That's where I was going. Thank you.
Like
that's where I was going with that.
Identification. Like, I hunt mallards a lot. That's what I chase down here. And that's what we all do, And I feel like I'm pretty sufficient, like, at identifying drakes. Like, even first thing in the morning, right at shoot time, like, I feel like I'm pretty good at it. But it was just weird. It was real hard to tell up there. I don't know if, part of it, a lot of it was it being overcast, but it was just kind of weird.
And I feel like there was a couple shots we could have took. They would have been more like 30-yard shots. But at 30 yards, it was hard to identify if it was a drake or hen sometimes with that overcast.
And then even, I remember specifically when me and Thomas were out there and you were filming, there was times when, it got real hectic when it was windy and there's birds everywhere. We had like a flock of 6 come right over the top. I don't even know if they were 20 yards, and we couldn't figure out which one was a drake, so we didn't shoot.
That's another thing, a difference between overcast and sunny. I mean, you can pick a drake out in less, half a second. where that, I mean, for most of the day, we were spending so much time just like, which one is that? Which one is that? Actually, I shot the first hen I shot.
Right. You could have sworn it was a drake. I
would
remember
have
that.
promised you it had that big, real dark chest, and I mean that was my mistake for not looking at the head. But
dude, I did the same thing when you and I were out there. We had a group come in, and I pulled up on the closest bird because it was like my turn to shoot. I pull up on the closest bird, and I literally pulled off of it because I would have swore it was a hen, and I went on to the next one and I shot a hen, and then Thomas shot what I thought was a hen, and it was a drake. And I'm like, dude, what?
Yeah, it was.
And
tough.
it's so weird,
and
because
it seemed even tougher than some overcast days down here that I've hunted. I don't know why.
Right,
I don't
that's
know.
what I was gonna say.
I don't know if it was
something different about
maybe the big water. I don't know. I don't know. I can't put a finger on it, but it was definitely harder.
Right, and it sounds like kind of dumb when we're saying. Sounds kind of dumb when we're saying, "Oh, we can't identify him like on a cloudy day." But dude, it was just weird. Like you were saying, I don't know what it was, but
it's like shooting them right at shoot time in the morning all day long. I mean, not quite that dark, but it's the same mindset. You see the silhouette, but you're just like looking so hard. I mean, like even widgeon. If it was widgeon, there's no way you could tell if it's a drake or a hen when it was like that.
Dude, that one widgeon that I shot, we worked that duck like 4 passes through the decoys, and we thought it was a hen mallard.
I know.
It was so
we
bad.
could have shot it closer
than
than even you shot it,
Right, I remember because it was your turn to shoot, and it was backpedaling like 10 feet from you over the decoys, and we ended up shooting on the way out because we just couldn't tell. It was weird.
Yeah.
So we talked about calling. We talked about weather. What do you guys feel about your shooting?
Subpar.
Subpar.
No.
What about you, Titus?
I just said middle of the road. I don't feel like it was excellent or anything. We all made a couple good shots, but like really good. I'm not saying we didn't make several good shots. I'm just saying like there was some where it was just like that was a great shot, just a crush.
Right.
But we all had our misses. I don't know.
Yeah, I think on percentages, I think I was probably like, I'd say subpar. Like, I mean, it wasn't horrible. It definitely could have been a lot worse, but definitely didn't shoot great.
Yeah, I don't think mine was not. Obviously, I don't think it was nothing incredible. I don't know if I ever even want to say my shooting's incredible because every time I've done that before, and then I've shot bad for 2 hunts.
I wouldn't say like, oh, I shot incredible, but like you have good days and you have bad days. It's nothing to. It's not like being, what do you call that? Prideful? Not prideful, but you know what I mean. There's some days you shoot good, then some days you don't. Like you have a good day.
I think I still had. I don't know. I think I still had like 8 shells in my box left. So whatever.
I would say my day was average, but the hard
I shot
part,
a couple.
The hard part was the identifying and the wasted time. When you don't have to do that, you could take your
bead better.
You can take your best shots versus spending extra
wait.
time. What is that? What is that? What is that? Oh, it's a trick. Boom, boom, boom. You know what I mean?
Right. That, and on top of that, the angles, like right when we would be, take them, shoot them right now, when they're backpedaling or locked up like the ideal spot, we're spending that time looking at them. And then we're like, sometimes, we're shooting them on the way out, like not so much on the way out, but, just after they know you're looking at them.
Yeah. 1 or 2 seconds later than you would want to shoot.
Right.
Normally. Yeah.
I think what kind of messed me up too, not an excuse at all, because it shouldn't matter, but I hadn't shot that gun in a couple of years.
No,
that was the first time that was the first time I brought it out in a long time. So
that definitely plays a part. I mean,
I can tell you smoked that one in the decoys. I mean, I know it was in the decoys, but that was awesome.
Yeah,
that was one of the cool shots of the video.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
You just seen it just cupped around, just coming in, man. That was cool.
Yeah, that was awesome.
We were both like, who?
Right?
Like, where'd that even come from? We did exact same time. It's funny.
Right? Yeah, that was funny.
I'll just get you so pumped, though, when Mallards do that. So we had 15 Mallards and 1 widgeon, so 16 birds, I believe, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we went to Washington for, is that kind of right there, So super cool. I mean, it doesn't get any better.
Yeah.
Really.
I mean, yeah. Obviously, we could have. I mean, we were wanting
Our goal was to shoot
limits,
all green.
all green, right? But I mean, on the other hand,
It wasn't going to
that's
happen.
the
that day,
kind of
though.
hunt that I like
Mhm.
when you have to. You're
Given
working
the
birds.
circumstances,
when,
you know.
when you're
Yeah.
working birds. I mean, that's what I really want. You know what I mean? Like, I do want to limit. Yes, absolutely. But I mean, I love hunting mallards. Like, that's
Right.
that
And
right there
like
was
I've always
so
said,
fun.
Right. And like what I've always said since day one is the joy for me is calling ducks, working ducks, and shooting them like that. You know,
Mhm.
like that first day was super cool, you know, but they didn't never listen to a call. It was
Right.
more of a
Right.
trafficking type
right.
patchy thing, which is still good. You know, it was
Yeah.
a fun hunt. Don't get
Uh-huh.
me wrong on that.
Right.
But there's just something about
right.
calling birds, you know,
Right.
and working ducks and shooting them like that. It's just
Right.
that's what does it for me, and that's really why I like chasing mallards.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I'd trade a million flyby teal shots for, you know, a limit of mallards. Like,
Well-
it's
Right.
not even the same. Like,
I will trade that. I will trade a Canada hunt, 10-yard shots, an hour limit. I would rather have what we had that day than that any day.
Dude, 100%. I went to Canada, and it was a great experience. It was super cool, but it was like shooting flies.
It
I
is,
mean,
dude.
Yeah.
There was no effort,
mhm.
you
Right.
know.
You didn't
So-
even need to call if you didn't want to.
No, not at all.
You didn't need
turned
to
the mojo
hide. You
on, they
could
came right to you.
stand out there in
You
your
could.
pink bathing suit and
You
shoot
could.
ducks. I mean, it's like,
We could.
I don't know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think another thing that made that hunt absolutely awesome was the sunrise. That was
Oh,
like
man, dude.
incredible.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Incredible. Yeah, I got a couple of pictures I got to send you guys of like some
Dude, and it wasn't just one color the whole time. All of a sudden there was a point where it was purple,
yeah,
and then it was
right?
blood red, and then it was like there was another color too. I was like, dude, how is it like that? Like, that's purple, straight
I
up
know.
purple, violet color.
Right, and it was super cool with what we thought was that paper mill in the back.
Yeah,
You know, with all that smoke coming out of it.
Oh,
it was,
dude,
it was just gorgeous.
it
I
was
mean, that right there,
I mean, that's like
Yeah.
made the day before we even saw a duck.
right.
Mhm. Yeah.
I mean,
It's
that's
surreal.
what you do it for.
Yeah, it's surreal, you know. And that slack water actually probably made that even look cooler because the reflection, exact same what was you're looking at was back in the water, so it's kind of trippy
Right.
looking. But yeah, and no editing, no added filter to that. It's just straight up, you know, God's creation. What He made a sunrise is just mind blowing.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Most people, if you've never got up out of bed at that early, which if you're a duck hunter, that's not ever gonna happen. But some people need to get out of bed before the sun comes up to experience that, you know.
Right.
But Rocky did good. His foot was better. That deal on his webbing is completely gone, and he acted completely fine. Except, like I said, he was slipping and sliding on the rocks a little bit.
we all were.
Yeah, we all were. You know, and I was like, why is he going like that? Why is he walking like that? But we was like, once you walk out there, like, oh, okay, makes complete sense. It's all that river bottom rock.
Yeah, he did good. He made a few like, you know, long retrieves.
Mm-hmm.
And it was good.
Yeah, I didn't have to sniff nothing out this time, but I think it was that hide. It was pretty fun and cool. And that was cool that we all
Yeah.
agreed on that beforehand. Like, let's get this done and brushed up just in case we need it. And we needed it right out the bat. We never even didn't hunt out of it.
Yeah.
Right, like the first hour. Well, I guess like the
That
first
water dropped.
that first 1 to 2 hours. You know, when the tide was lower, that saved us. You know, we would have been like 50 yards from the decoys if we were on the bank.
Yeah.
You know, later in the day, you know, when the water came back up, we probably could have been in the tulies, but it was just super cool how that hide worked. you know?
Yeah.
And then being able to be back and filming while two guys are out there shooting was cool.
Yeah.
And what we kept talking about is how incredible just a change of distance helps you see so much more of the picture. How many times we all experienced it while we'd be back there filming 50 yards back. We're like, how'd you not see those birds? Why didn't you shoot those birds? Huh? We never seen those birds. Like your perspective is just so much different.
Yeah.
Right.
You wonder how many times that happens, like when you're out hunting
Yeah.
by yourself, solo,
Yeah.
and you didn't even know something probably came
Yeah.
in on you.
Uh-huh.
Well, how many times have you been out there and your buddy next to you just snap shoots one? You know, just
Right.
bang. You're like, what?
Yeah.
You know, that's one bird you would have never seen probably.
Right.
You know?
Yep. You'd have saw it when it was flying away a couple hundred yards away. Be like,
Right.
oh, where'd that bird come from?
Yeah.
You know?
I was telling Thomas too when I was editing, because Like I listen to you, you sound different. Thomas sounds different. Everybody has their different sound. But it's funny because we're all blowing layers, which I was blowing that T1. Did you even ever blow that, Harrison, or did you just blow the hybrid pretty much the whole
My
time?
T1, I blew it a little bit, but
mainly the hybrid.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I mean.
And then Thomas had the hybrid. I didn't have the hybrid at the time, but I just recently bought it. But it was funny, dude, because I to myself sound like, I'm not that good, whatever. But then when I would be editing, it was funny how close. Sometimes I couldn't tell any of us apart. Like if you'd be back filming, and it'd be two guys in the blind, I'd be like, "Oh, okay, that's so and so." And then I'm like, then Thomas, he's filming, and it's him. I'm like, "Oh, well, shoot, that was me and Harrison. I thought that was like Thomas and Harrison."
Right, and you can, when you're listening to it, if you really, pay attention, you can pick them apart, just like their calling styles, whatever. But the difference between us three, like, also helps tremendously. I think like team calling is unbelievably different. Like when you're hunting with someone that can effectively call and you can effectively work together, like if you're in the middle of a 5-note cadence and then I start mine and you're not doing everything simultaneously, so it sounds like a lot of ducks. Right. Team calling is like huge. I think it helps tremendously.
Yeah. Kind of makes you wonder how it would have been if it had just been one dude out there by himself calling,
Right. When you have 3 different guys, or I guess 2 blowing at the same time, but, different tones, different, length from each tone to the next. And, just it helps a lot, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. So what would you guys say? Some lessons learned while we'll wrap this up?
Identify your birds better.
Go get the jerk string motion ducks. Maybe that could have been something I would have been curious to see how much difference that would have made.
Right.
When the water was really slack.
We could have probably brushed that thing up a little bit better.
Mm-hmm. There's a couple gaps.
Close that opening a little less. And
there's
then
a fine
put
line.
Some more brush on.
There was a fine line though, because some of those birds we didn't even see.
Right.
I mean, you have to be hidden, but you also got to be able to see to shoot them. I don't know. I feel like we did pretty good, honestly. I'm just
saying you can always learn something. So I was just kind of going over those reviews, like what could you have done a little better, something or just something you learned, something you learned new.
I don't know if it'd be considered learned. I guess it'd be something you learned, but just the fact of calling out those birds until they hit the decoys was it took the first handful of birds and then, it kind of stopped and I'm like, dude, every time we stop, they peel out, and you can see in the video on a couple of spots where, like I said, when we soften up, they would just take off. And then, from that point, we realized which was good. And from there on, it worked pretty good.
Yeah, it was like they lost interest or something.
Right. So like they wanted to, it was just weird.
Literally, they wanted to get their ears blown out. Literally. Like they would be 30 yards and we'd be bap, 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 bap. And it literally right in. But we would stop and slow down or whatever. And they'd be like, me, out.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it was weird, and we were, our lungs were tired at the end of the day, but it was cool to be able to call that much.
Yeah.
Like you see the guys back east in the timber, and they're just calling their hearts out all day. Like it's kind of cool to be able to do that and then effectively work.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
Here, I don't think we ever blow more than like a 5-note cadence, and that's like huge. Like your comeback call. Like it was cool to be able to just call that much and it be effective.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, thanks for jumping on here with us, Harrison. Like me and Thomas were saying, we're super stoked that you went with us, and we wish it was longer, but it is what it is. Some stuff that went on, but we definitely hunt with you any time of the day for sure. And so we were really stoked you went.
I really appreciate you guys inviting me and having me go along. It was a really good time, and hope we can do it again, or
hopefully
just hunting trips in general.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So, all right, guys, thanks for listening in, and we'll see you on the next one.